Normally I wouldn't do another video like this right after I do the review, because that video was like 28 minutes long and almost covered everything I wanted to say, but if for some reason you haven't seen it, I did a review of the CEDA Model S, which is vastly superior to the original CEDA. And I'm really glad I never got my hands on the original CEDA, because this one, apparently even the plastic quality is so much better it isn't even funny. So if you do have experience with the original CEDA, I wouldn't exactly discount the CEDA Model S, because not only does this one work, not only does it work extremely well, not only is the price like half that of the Dart Zone Pro Mark 1.1, but it actually performs just about as good. It did not hit nearly as hard, but the accuracy is nigh unbeatable, especially for the price tag. And this is a really exciting blaster, but one thing I kind of touched on in that video but didn't really demonstrate was the fact that if you pull these two pins right here, you can actually break down the entire blaster, pull out the plunger tube, the plunger rod, everything, and swap out the spring, which, while on the Dart Zone Pro, it just holds the front end together and is absolutely awful. One of those things, like, have you ever seen like one of those handguns or whatever, firearms built in the Khyber Pass that mimic an actual firearm, but they don't know what all the parts and pieces actually do, so they just kind of put stuff on there or make something that looks close to it, even though if it doesn't serve the original purpose, it looks like the original. That's what the Dart Zone Pro feels like to the CEDA, and I'm really excited to kind of show this to you, because I have not fired this at range, but I have ran it over the chronograph. But I did a video on that weird Retaliator metal plunger tube kit that included a really bizarre spring. Turns out that spring fits perfectly like it was made for the CEDA. Alright, so this is with the original spring and the included darts, and I'm only going to be using the included darts just as a control for this entire video, but oh, it would help if I didn't hit the chronograph. That was 68, 118, 47, come on, I need that, 87, 113, 95, 105, 118. So it's a little bit even lower than when I did my initial test. I don't know if that's because I'm outside or something. All right, no screws or anything, just got the spring and the CEDA Model S here. We're just going to remove the magwell since we're not going to need that. Pull out the pins, and then the entire front slides off. We're gonna bend this plastic out, and that's going to remove that. There's our plunger tube and plunger rod. Here's our spring. Get rid of that. Shove in the new spring. Put the internals back in. It will, as long as it's in the guides right there, it will snap back into place. Grab our front end. This is a little tricky sometimes because you gotta make sure the bolt sled is in its track, and of course the bolt itself. There we go. Put our pins back in. And now we got a harder hitting CEDA. Put our magazine back in there, chamber around, 160, 144, 149, 144, 152, and I think what I'm most interested in, does it keep the extreme accuracy with using this new spring? I don't know what strength this spring is. Bradley Phillips tells me it's probably going to be a 12 kilogram. That's his guess. So we're gonna swap out this magazine for a fresh one. This is kind of cool that you don't have to have a whole bunch of gear or anything to run short dart mags like the katanas here. I just stuff them in my pockets and I can hold more than enough ammo. And hopefully this doesn't clear the property. Nope. And it's still... it's actually hitting a little bit softer right now, it seems. But it is straight as an arrow. Why does it feel like it's hitting softer? What's going on there? Maybe I'm pointing it down a little bit. I'm not sure. If I angle it up slightly, I'm clearing the property. I would argue this thing performs even better with the higher spring in it. It might actually be more accurate. Let's try a little bit more. Let's avoid a double feed. There we go. And that is all of them. Let's go see exactly how that looked with the darts on the ground. So a couple of shots landed right there, right there. Not quite sure what I did wrong there. We've got a shot right there, and a couple right there, and a bunch more right there, and even more. They're all pretty much in a straight line. There's a red one down there and another red one. These might be from the last range test too, but there's one, there's one, here's another one. We're much farther out now, and I might be wrong, but I think some actually did go far enough to hit over here into the creek. So hopefully that's not the case, but I don't see any at the moment. So that might be our longest shots there, but that's still good portion further, and I wasn't even actually trying not to angle the shots this time as opposed to the original shots I did with the CEDA. Keeping things level is hard. My brain just kind of angles things based off the first shots. That's what happens when you fire a lot of NERF darts, but I am extremely impressed. That is now way better than the Dart Zone Pro Mark 1 or Mark 1.1 for what, like maybe $10 for a spring, and you could get better springs too. No other changes whatsoever. And if you do want to hit harder, of course there are going to be kits out in the future that are going to change out the entire plunger tube system, plunger rod, and everything like that to make that more efficient somehow. But man, that's some good stuff right there, and it was pinpoint accurate. I think the thing that surprises me the most about the CEDA was how bad the original one was. That required you to mod it to do absolutely anything, and here we are with a stock one right out of the box that performs flawlessly. And it shouldn't be just me. I am always worried about that thing, especially when it comes to a company like Jet that has had some quality control issues in the past. Every YouTuber's I've seen so far has been good, and I have not heard a bad thing about the Model S yet. That is something to definitely consider, even though I didn't really hear anything bad about, except for the normal problems that the Dart Zone Pro has. The CEDA Model S really just kind of blows it out of the water. Again, Dart Zone Pro definitely more solid in the hand. I did take some time to fit in all the screws, make sure they're all tightened down. There were several that weren't, and that's really fixed the flex I have with the blaster, and it feels a lot more solid than it was before, which is good. I mean, I kind of complained a little bit about the build quality, but now it's completely fine. Is it going to last a million shots? I have no clue. Can I put an even stronger spring in it? Will it survive that? Again, I have no clue. But I've fired this thing a couple hundred times now. I'm blown away by how good this blaster is, how well it performs, and the kind of utility that it gives you. Think about for a second, this is kind of reaching, but stay with me. You were in a war that had up to a 200 FPS cap. You could use a normal CEDA without changing it with a stock spring and be firing at people, and they would kind of get to figure out that, hey, your range is X, so I can be this close. And this is something that a couple of blasters do, and it's a mind game that I really like to play. But then imagine that you duck behind cover for about a minute, and it shouldn't even take you longer than that, and really there's no worried about losing anything out of this, but you could easily pull out these things, pull off the front, swap the spring into a much stronger spring, and before people could even figure it out, all of a sudden you're hitting them at much farther ranges. It's kind of a stretch, but that's going to be useful to somebody, I'm sure. And just in general, I went from HVZ compliant to now a monster that I could use at pretty much any competitive thing I would want to. And then again, it could even get better. The barrel isn't very long. The barrel could definitely be longer. A lot of blasters can benefit from that, and the CEDA has that option as well, but just with what it has, it's still flippin' accurate as all heck, and that's stock. You can buy things like a Retaliator or a Prophecy R and even a Dart Zone Pro, and you can mod them, put Scar barrels and stuff on them, make them better, possibly even better than the CEDA. My point is that this is good stock. No fiddling, no finagling, nothing. I just loaded up a mag, threw it in, and started firing darts out of it. And for me, somebody who is extremely lazy, that's an absolute win. Again, I'm not paid to do anything like this. I am only doing another video on this simply because I felt like there was a couple of things that I needed to demonstrate to kind of push a couple of people over the edge. And if you had any more questions, like, yes, it does use standard NERF compatible magazines. The setup that's in the Alpha kit, or whatever this is in here, is meant specifically for short darts, so it will not normally feed full lengths, but the Omni will. I've heard bad things about the Omni, and to be honest, if you're going to be using 170 FPS at blaster, it's probably best that you just use short darts. But, I mean, the sun's pretty much gone now. I think we got our goal out there. Let me know what you think. If this has helped answer any questions about the CEDA, if there's more demand, if this video gets, 6,000, 7,000 views, I can probably go out there and do an ammo test with it to see how it performs with workers and whatnot. I don't really have a good selection of ammo on hand, but I can try. Thank you very much. I'm, of course, Walcom S7. If you like this video, hit the like button. If not, I did what I could. But other than that, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
Can't you see I'm blazing? Still my heart is blazing. If the words kill me,